So, how should we start this off? Well, how about we have a look at this lone duck trying to survive and fight back against this large group of carnivores consisting of a Suko, 2 Conks, 1 Metri, 1 Megalania, 1 Hats, and a Tyrannotitan. It truly is a shame that there was no one there to help them. What could have possibly led to this sort of toxicity that we can't even accuse of mix packing? What a shame. Well, let's get into it, shall we? Hello! So, before we end up actually getting into what this video is centered around, how about that dev blog? As usual, we've got new foliage, which can't go wrong with that. Then we have an actual interactable environment. Imagine a Sarko actually grabbing a sty off of this little log right here. Of course, then more foliage and stuff that you can interact with, like scratching the trees. A little bit of an attempt to actually make oceans a little bit more interesting, though I don't know how they're gonna go about it with that. But then, actually, the thing that I'm most excited about, which I hope they actually add a gameplay mechanic to this. So they actually want to add a bunch of like little maggots or insect swarms around bodies or, you know, spawned carcasses, and I hope this actually has the mechanic of something like, if it gets too rotten and there are too many, you know, insects and maggots swarming this body, I hope that it makes the body actually only accessible to eat for, say, anybody with a scavenger diet. Because let's just say a Rex ends up coming across the corpse of an Eotrike that maybe died 5, maybe 10 minutes ago. And it's just turned to that point where it's too swarmed in, you know, bugs and all that, that it's now only available for anybody with a scavenger diet to eat it. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a Apache with scavenger diet comes along and starts eating it in front of the Rex. I do think I remember something in the Discord a while ago about some of the devs talking about changing the diet system, you know, or just making changes to it, or reworking it. I do have a slight, you know, idea. It probably won't come to fruition, but this is just my idea off the top of my head, but making any carnivore able to eat any sort of meat. But have, you know, the incorrect type of meat that your dinosaur prefers will make you actually starve faster. Similar to the system, or, you know, the mechanic of eating a salt rock, but then that makes your thirst deplete faster. But have it so that, say, if a Rex ends up eating a rotten carcass, then make it so that it does end up actually losing hunger faster. So it's good in a pinch, but then, you know, it's worse in the long run. I don't know, it kind of just sounded like a cool idea to me, and, you know, it kind of just gives you some more options, and forces you to then make some choices, and pushes a little bit more PvE in the game, in which everyone says there's just not enough PvE in the game, in which I will agree. But then, lastly, we have the new bug reporting method that we have. They've actually, you know, updated their website to actually include your Alderon idea, making it easier for any bugs you report, for them to actually, you know, get to read those bugs, they can get through them faster, and you have a higher chance of actually getting a bug tracker skin now. But anyway, let's just say today's video is centered around what you saw in pretty much the first minute of the video, and what ended up actually leading up to that situation. There's a lot to go through, and I've already been rambling here for almost 4 minutes. So, with that out of the way, I hope you all enjoy. So, as for how this all starts off, I ended up getting online asking who my friends were, and they said that they were in Hot Springs and had recently had a fight against another group that likes to stay in this area. Sadly, I ended up missing the entire thing by the time I ended up getting here, but as usual, there's usually always someone who returns on a certain playable. Oh, Hat's coming in. Oh, yeah, nice.
Put it in reverse!
Hey, what? Oh, Hat's coming in. Oh, yeah, nice. Nice. What was that? Oh no. So we ended up moving on and saying that we'll come back once the food replenishes here. You'll understand what I mean by that later. But before we get started on everything that is about to happen, how about we go over what we're all using? So to start off, we have Toxic playing as a Suchomimus. Then moving on, we have me, Cherry, and Epic playing as Concavenators. Caden playing as Megalania, Gusa playing as Feast Tyrannotitan, and lastly, we have Terra playing as Ramphorhynchus. Safe to say, our setup here is very bleed focused. So after our little excursion, we ended up seeing that there was some action to be had in Savannah grassland. But before it all started, I wanted to actually just go to the home cave and change out some stuff that could possibly help in whatever's going to happen next. So it starts off with our Megalania Caden showing up and checking out what we're actually up against and pretty much giving us the information beforehand. In which it seems like we'll be up against one Conch, one Metri, one Patchy, 4 Tyrannotitans, a Rex, and a Spinosaurus. Oh wait, I almost forgot the Cerato. We decided to send in the small guys first just to get some attention and maybe split them up if we can. So, while me and Cherry are heading towards the desolate bridge to Savannah, Caden ends up starting and running up the hill to actually get some damage on their Concavenator first, which ends up capturing the attention of a bunch of the Tyrannotitans there, in which Caden ended up just leading them down to the river. This, safe to say, was the perfect distraction to get into Savannah grassland without being spotted by too much.
As well here.
I had to kind of be careful here in terms of not taking too much damage, as, well, they do actually have a Metri as well. And this Metri is definitely going to be the most important thing to actually take care of. And really the most important part of dealing with a Metri is pretty much just keep it bleeding, and its friends bleeding, and everyone bleeding. And after we were dragging this Metri away a little bit, the Patchy ran to call up the reinforcements.
Oh, okay. Here comes the Titans. They're over by the desolate bridge.
That they are, and while the big guys protect whatever's bleeding to let them rest off their bleed, the first thing to actually be sent in and come after us is this one albino Rex, along with the Patchy as backup. And so we put into action the first step of our plan, which is just to separate them. The Rex still had the Metri and the Patchy following, but they were going to try and be a bit more careful this time.
Oh, he's preparing a surprise attack. You see that?
As long as we can keep their attention, we can pretty much just heal by hitting them with one bleed attack.
There we go, bloodthirsty. I just wanted bloodthirsty, so I could heal.
But it wasn't until we ended up actually getting them to follow us all the way over to the Waystone was where we actually felt comfortable that they were far enough away from their friends to actually start engaging. And hey, we're playing Concavenator. You know what the deal is whenever you play that, you just stack up a bunch of bleed. And try to take your time, try not to rush things. Thankfully for us, Caden was keeping an eye on us leading this Rex away from the group. And they came in to help. Which thankfully for us ended up taking the heat from the Metri off of us to help their precious Rex, which then gives us an opening to go after the Metri. And so now the Metri has to make a decision of whether to help their Rex or to go after the Conchs. Though they better act fast, because here comes Gusa coming on his Tyrannotitan, along with Terra attached to his leg, giving him a Plotting Whispers buff. Oh yeah, he's also using Feast in order to reduce their bleed healing a bit more, and also for some extra sustain. But this Rex seemed to have noticed how far away from their group they seem to have wandered. And to add insult to injury, we then have Terra stuck to the Rex's side, also reducing its bleed healing even more with Scab Picker. All this is happening while me, Caden, and Cherry are finishing off the Metri. And while we were eating, we ended up seeing another Conch here. and we just didn't trust it for the most part. We didn't know who it was with, and we just assumed it was with the enemy and was just trying to pull
Yeah,
a
we
sly
should.
one because, hey, official servers. So me and Cherry ended up chasing it towards the ocean, in
We're
which,
chasing
well,
another
it
conch
ended up
to...
just getting away.
Yeah. Have you got Snarl? Pop Snarl. Nah, it's a cooldown with it.
But back in land, we have the Patchy trying to enable the Rex by fracturing Gusa in order for the Rex to actually try and take out, well, the biggest, scariest thing at the moment that we have. In which Caden ends up pushing the Patchy away at every attempt that it makes. And as me and Cherry start to head inland again, we end up spotting the Patchy and the Rex, who seem pretty damn hurt, but now along with another Titan to show up. There was also this random house that was here that seemed to go after them. I have no idea why, but hey, if anything, they were kind of in the way for me. Either way, we still had Terra stuck to the side of this Rex, just using Scab Picker, reducing its bleed healing, while it just refuses to actually try and buck her off. Alongside that, we have Gusa pretty much gaining the attention of the other Titan, pretty much just trying to drag them away, giving us an opening to actually go after the Rex. Though, that didn't last very long. All we really need to do is keep them stacked up with bleed, with the help from things like Goose's blood-chilling roar, and also my Snarl or Cherry's Snarl on Concavinator. Oh, and of course, we can't forget Terrace Ramphorhynchus, that would be a crime. But with their Tyrannotitan trying their best in stopping the Conks from adding more bleed to this Rex, it kind of ended up pushing Gusa to actually go a little bit more aggressive in gaining the attention of the Tyrannotitan. But while he was at it, he ended up actually just bringing this Rex to death scars, in which it just promptly bled out.
Oh, Rex died. Rex died. Yeah.
So with the Rex dead and this one Tyrannotitan alone, we have now the reinforcements coming in, which was one Tyrannotitan, the Cerato ended up coming back, and lastly, this almost cinematic masterpiece of a reinforcement scene.
Oh, there's another hat's coming now.
Yep, the good old swap to hats after dying, because you placed it in the middle of the map in order to get back to where you died. That is something I definitely
Thing is,
expected.
I'm on...
But here's something that I didn't expect.
Oh my god, I got surprised by the Sarah there.
And so here, I'm pretty much just trying to get words out, while
I've,
also other people are talking.
I have a guy on me, and if I stop...
Yeah, if you're at half health and you have a Sarah running at you, you don't stop to try and fight it.
There we go.
And so now, the next problem that we as Conks gotta deal with is pretty much this bone-breaking lapdog, called a Cerato. And each time that we hit it, the Titans end up turning around to maybe try and help it, which in turn then gives Gusa a little extra space to recuperate.
Behind the Sarah.
Though they are dead set on just going for Gusa, as, well, that would be the easiest thing for them to catch, right? And with the Cerato not really paying attention while lagging behind a little bit, it gives us a pretty good opening. How that Tyrannotitan did not hit me with a bite, I will never know. I guess they were maybe afraid of hitting the Cerato at the same time. But here now we have me, Epic, and Cherry all pretty much just tag teaming on this Cerato.
Sarah's about to die now as well.
I'm at this moment a little concerned about my stamina. It's quite low. I haven't had much chance to actually get any stamina or sit because of all the hats around. But Epic did say that he ended up actually finishing off the Cerato. Woohoo! While all this was happening, Gusa was practically just leading the two Titans around by the nose, but he was a little worried about his own stamina since dealing with a mirror matchup and also with the enemy also having blood-soaked kind of makes it a little bit of a pain to actually try and stay away from them. Though Terra was an amazing distraction to give Gusa some extra space. But that's not all she did. As you may have saw, you know, maybe about 20 seconds ago, you saw a dead Hats on the floor. Guess how that died? Death by Ramp. You love to see it, and I am so proud. A round of applause from everybody for Terra, please. Thankfully, Gusa was able to shake off the Titans eventually. In which, guess what?
Oh, there's a blue hat. No, a Titan on the way now. Yeah, there's another Titan.
Which was then followed up by me having an absolute brain fart.
I had a brain fart there.
Yeah, for some reason, it just didn't register in my head that we don't have a Titan with blood-soaked. But hey, if you want to see something cute in the middle of all this madness, well, here you go. This is definitely no place for a baby conch to be wandering right now. And there is one person who I haven't mentioned in the middle of all this madness yet, which is Toxic, and I don't know when they arrived onto the scene, but in his timing of actually going after the Serato that was pretty low, it was pretty much the perfect timing that actually ended up stopping their blue Titan from actually reuniting with the other Titans. And so he ended up dragging as many of them down towards the river as he could. And it seems like he also took out some hats while he was here as well. And, you know, they always say friends are the tastiest, which is proven by the fact you're watching this Serato scoff down their friends. But anyway, with me being a one-shot to the next Tyranno Titan bite, I decide to hit Gusa on the tip of the tail, which ends up giving me Bloodthirsty, because, hey...
I'm just scared of Duke Heavy, mate. That's all I'm scared of.
And with both of these Tyranno Titans pretty much sitting on a cliff, leaving next to no opening for any of the conchs to really attack safely, Gusa decided to maybe just drag their attention elsewhere, in which he started going for the blue Tyranno Titan, or at least attempting to pull him away from the group. Which is enough, as if Gusa ends up trying to fight, well, it's an obvious disadvantage, since Gusa has been at pretty much half health for most of this fight, and being able to drag any sort of opponent away from their group is enough of an opening for pretty much any of the small stuff to really just stack up any debuff. It also ended up pretty much just pulling their Metri out of position as well.
I'm so low. Oh yeah, he's only biting for you. For me, he's actually using his brain. I love that.
Yeah, if you want any context, one of my friends was saying that whenever they were going after the Metri, it was only using bite attacks, which does less damage per hit, whereas for me, it was using the claw attacks, which does more damage per hit. And meanwhile, I'm pretty much just trying to find any good opening to actually land any of my bleed attacks and start Bloodthirsty, just so I can heal and just recover throughout this fight.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Oh my god, that coordination. What coordination?
My guess, they didn't know that one bite would finish me off and wanted to avoid friendly fire. But they're stuck on this rock, and they haven't moved, so Gusa goes to actually just remind him that he still exists. I don't know what it is, but I always find it funny whenever I see like a blood-chilling roar end up, you know, pushing whoever they're up against to pop their armor call and do like a full death charge. It's like, it makes me wonder, like, how low is their health really, though, while I'm fighting, that they just charge out like that. And then, of course, on the side, we're just kind of trying to get rid of the annoying Patchy.
Oh, nice.
This Patchy has been an absolute nightmare in making me feel unsafe to actually rest to heal.
Alright, let's go after the...
Though, thankfully,
yes, Cherry.
It didn't have the same feeling about me.
Alright, I need to eat, so I can heal a bit faster.
And while me and Cherry were going after the Patchy, Epic had went after the Metri, dealing so much bleed that it turned the Metri into popcorn. Though that was shortly before this happened. Getting stuck under Apexes, it feels bad, man. I also need a drink pretty desperately also, but Gusa is calling out that he's being chased.
Okay. Right, which direction did you go, Gusa?
Yeah, safe to say, as I've already said, their main target is just Gusa. Anybody who gets the chance, they just go after him, because he's just the slowest thing and the easiest thing to actually catch. But as we threaten one Tyranno Titan into stopping, another one starts chasing. For which, in this case, Caden ends up moving off of this Tyranno Titan as I arrive to it, and starts going after the other one. I can at least keep this one bleeding and not feeling as safe as they could feel in terms of going after Gusa. Because sure, they could just ignore us and keep chasing after Gusa, just forcing him out of stamina so that they can catch him easier, seeing as they got blood-soaked and can regen stamina faster.
Mate. Every time I go in, there's someone else in, and I gotta get move, and then I take damage, and I'm never able to heal.
Whatever I just said there.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much out of it, and I've got to just find a chance to heal. Thankfully, Cherry and Caden are there to actually pretty much keep a little bit of pressure on this Blood-Soaked Titan, which ends up forcing this Melanistic Titan to turn around, giving Gusa the perfect chance to, well, get some stamina and enjoy the show. And as soon as he feels comfortable with having enough stamina, he ends up going back in and topping up their bleed, along with then just reducing their bleed healing some more, grabbing their attention and leaving more openings for the Smalls to do their thing. Though, I am still terrified the entire time of a Duke Heavy. But if I don't land any bleed at all, since we're always constantly in combat, I'm not going to heal ever. Thankfully, Gusa did leave an opening for me to actually, start my Bloodthirsty up a little bit. But do you remember the Concavinator that me and Cherry ended up chasing towards the ocean? Well, they're back and they went for Gusa, so yeah, I guess we got another thing that we gotta go after. Or at least just push away. All I can really do right now is kind of just try and keep cycling my Bloodthirsties to heal, and then just follow them and popping Snarl to reduce their bleed healing. I guess they just realized because Gusa is using Dash and they're using Juke, they're just not gonna catch him.
Oh, yeah, there's the Albino Titan now as well. Oh, and there's the Spino, yeah.
And while all that was happening, Toxic had still been doing a wonderful job of keeping the Spino over by the river, and also pulling the Albino Titan to actually come over as well. Though, after enough damage has been taken, there's only so much you can do. And, well, he pretty much had to just follow them onto land. But here's the funny part. All of that bleed heal reduction, and all the bleed that was stacked up, after this Blood-Soaked Titan ended up getting away, I think they were just spamming their rest button. They ended up getting up. But you know how this is going to end. Popcorn. But let's look on the bright side for them, right? They have a Stego here now, and let's just say this Stego was determined to try and chase Gusa pretty much out of stamina. But we also had someone else show up. Terra was kind of getting sick of playing Ramph, and so she pulled a page out of their book and decided to go on Metri. That means that so long as Gusa isn't bleeding, he can get some good healing. And since this Stego has been using Charge Tail while chasing Gusa, using a bunch of stamina while doing so, it made me feel a little bit more comfortable in order to actually go and get a drink while he pretty much just got away from it and just kept it away from him. And lastly, taking another page out of the book, Epic, who ended up dying on Concavinator, he ended up coming back with a hat. And, well, just immediately started going after the Stego, since it is so damn separated from its group.
Who's it? Oh, yeah, you're the Metri.
Honestly, I gotta say, Stegos, if they don't have a good spot in order to defend themselves and maybe get small things stuck on them, they are pretty much just conk food. You can just hit the tip of their tail in between the swings and just heal indefinitely. And as the Stego starts to notice that they are completely surrounded right now, and no one is nearby of their group, well, they start to slowly waddle away. But wait, we haven't seen Caden in a little while on his Meg. I wonder what he's doing. Well, the group that we're fighting are all trying right now to just group up so that they can walk over to the Savannah ponds in order to actually get a drink, and perhaps maybe just a little bit of a safe spot, since they have a semi-aquatic to actually control the water there. And the Melanistic Titan was a little bit separated from their group, which was an open opportunity for Caden to start doing Megalania things, which was a great effort in separating at least one more Titan away from this herd, or this great march towards the Savannah Ponds, where it surely would have been harder to at least be a
Oh yeah, turn
nuisance.
around, chase me, Spino. Yeah, chase me.
And we are all focused on stopping this Spino from getting to those ponds, for two reasons. The main one, though, is that apparently, according to Toxic, this Spino had ended up actually drinking salt water and was in
fucking hats.
desperate need of, well, water in general.
Always used as juke, right?
So we have all of this happening. We have the Spino and the Tyrannotitan trying to protect each other in order to get that Spino towards the pond as soon as possible. But wait, where's the Stego? Well, you remember Caden, our Megalania. Well, he was somewhere back behind us by the Savannah berry bush, and he's been kind of just waiting for the Tyrannotitan, the melanistic one, to start actually sleeping, guarded by the Stego. And he kind of just ended up turning this Tyrannotitan into my favorite snack, which is of course popcorn. And while we're at it as well, we also got then Epic taking out one of their hats. Though it seems not very likely that we're going to actually be able to finish off the Spino before it ends up actually reaching the Savannah Ponds. The issue that we seem to be running into right now is that we're pretty much trying to fight almost full health bars while we start off at half health bars. And all I can really do for this Spino, in terms of actually trying to do anything to it in the first place, is just wait for someone to actually bait out a stomp so that I actually have an opening.
Spino's going to the top pond. It's going to try and drink. Yeah, it's bleeding. It's bleeding.
All that's really important right now is just to try and stop it from drinking, and just keeping it bleeding the entire time. That is until, out of nowhere, a Pycno ended up showing up. Which, I mean, it's an interesting choice. It's definitely something that can give our smaller stuff a little bit of extra pressure, just because Pycno charges hurt. Though that will not be enough to dissuade us from carrying on with actually getting this finished. So we have Epic going in with the hats targeting the Spino, which then also gives me a nice little opening to start doing what I can. Which also then dominoes into Gusa also having another opening to get some damage in, which ends up dragging their Titans away from their Spino, giving me and Sherry good openings to actually go after it. In which we can end up leaving this Spino now at Death Scars, but we're still not out of the woods fully right here. So Toxic has been pretty damn low, but he's been sticking around just for a little bit of added pressure wherever he can. But now at this point they have their own Suko, which is just logged in, and is sneaking up behind targeting Toxic while we are all distracted with the carnage that is currently ongoing. And as you would have all guessed, this Suko only really needed to do one attack to end up bringing Toxic to pretty much heavy death scars, forcing him away from the pond in order for then the Spino to actually hop in. Though, Spino's problem is that no amount of water protection is going to save them from the amount of bleed that is currently
Oh no. It's turned into Crater, no! Oh wait, is the Spino dead? Oh, cool.
But
Wait,
a Suko is not all they brought for this wave of dino zombies.
Yeah. Oh, an Iggy.
That's right. They not only brought an Iguanodon though, they also ended up bringing a duck. But I ended up spotting the Pycno sleeping over by the water, pretty damn hurt, and so I decided to try and get whatever damage I could in maybe forcing some friendly fire.
He's dead! Get out my way, Kayan!
And with the Picno out of the way, that's one more thing that we don't have to worry about as the smaller playables, giving us more openings in order to go after the next lowest target, which is the Albino Tyranno Titan, in which after a bunch of harassment from Caden doing his Meg magic, was left low enough for Gusa to give it one last good hurrah. Though this was the straw that ended up actually breaking the camel's back, as after he did that, as you can see, everything started chasing Gusa.
And
But as for me, I ended up having, let's just say, a small little brain fart.
Oh, I walked into a fucking wall and got caught on a riptide. Yeah. Okay, I spawned in Triad.
So, I can't really get any more information, except for while I'm on my way running back, that they're pretty much just, picking them off one by one, and, well, here's what ended up happening in my head.
I don't know why, but I was just confusing, their Suko for yours. I wasn't even looking at the colors, I was just looking at the shape. Oh, Suko, that's toxic! And then all of a sudden it deleted half my health in 2 hits.
I guess you could say I'm pretty lucky in terms of my respawn, just because Triad falls and getting back to Savannah is not that bad of a run, is it? Especially when now Waystones cost 2,000 just for the first replenish. But anyway, all the action is still happening over at the Savannah Ponds, and by the time I make it back there, the only thing that's actually left alive is the same scene that you saw at the beginning of the video. Just one solo duck, being killed by the toxic Megapack. Oh, and that's what I mean by the start of the video. You may see a scene which actually looks like, oh no, this poor person, they're getting mobbed by so many people. But you don't know how it started, and how long it's actually been going on for. What actually happened beforehand, which led to the situation that this duck is in right now. And you'll never know, unless you were there from the start. And so, to finish off, I'll just show how the ending was for this right here. How did it die? Well, the same as most of the other stuff that has died, which has been to bleed. And so here we are at the end. So I actually had quite a lot of fun with this fight, and along with editing it as well, but this fight there was just so much to actually go over, and a lot to think about, and quite a lot to actually try and be careful about as well. I also had a lot of fun with the, just editing this one, mainly just because the first minute of the video I had so much fun with making, just because you've all seen it before, one person's getting attacked by, or you come across one person getting attacked by like 5 or 6 people, and then all of a sudden you feel sorry for them, you feel bad, it's like, oh, this isn't fair, but then, you don't know how it started, so what judgment can you truly make? And then all of a sudden you help that one person who was alone, and then all of a sudden all their friends return, right? Another shoe's on the other foot, and yeah, I think you know what I'm getting at there. But anyway, on a side note, I would actually have to say now that in terms of, playables or carnivores that are not Ramf, I would have to say Conk has been my favorite thanks to this TLC. I honestly think it is so damn good, and I am scared for them to nerf it. I am scared about them wanting to nerf it in the future. But if it happens, it happens. Oh well. And lastly, I'm pretty excited for what I mentioned at the beginning of the video as well with the dev blog. That looked amazing, and I am looking forward to a lot of those changes, and I'm hoping for some more things to be integrated with that as well. Not just for visual, but also maybe for some mechanical aspects for it. But anyway, before I get on to a whole ramble, let's just end it here, shall we? I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye.